Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to dive into a report from BDS Analytics of the details in the cannabis market trends in 5 key Western states. On the line with us is Dan Chemist, our CBD correspondent with Good CBD Products.
Ooh, I'm in a state of curiosity. I'm looking forward to this, Chronic. I feel like we'll do some learning today.
So this report from New Cannabis Ventures says, quote, during August, the last month before the onset of the vape crisis, sales across the 5 markets totaled 652.7 million. Sales growth ranged from 13% in California and Colorado to as high as 28% in Arizona and Nevada in comparison to the same month in 2018. Pre-rolls continue to grow rapidly, especially on the West Coast, with California market experiencing 46% growth in the category, while Oregon grew 32%. Concentrates, which represent 28 to 38% of sales by market, grew more rapidly within each market than overall sales. So then they're going to dive into 5 different states, but I mean those numbers look good on average. They look about the same as what we would expect.
Yeah, and what's going to be really amazing, right, is to look at those numbers, that same curve for September and October, with the current issues roiling the market, right? So
we've done some reports about the vape crisis and how that's kind of dipped the market anywhere from 14 to 20 something percent, depending on the market. And some are claiming the sales are rebounding, and others are more hesitant. But back to the report, let's dive into California. This report says, quote, the past August, sales for California licensed dispensaries and delivery services reached a combined 272 million, increasing almost 3% from July. Year-over-year sales for the month of August showed an increase of 13%, and combined year-to-date sales of nearly $2 billion indicates a 24% growth compared to August of 2018. So that makes sense. I mean, they just kind of went online last year. It should be almost parabolic. California has.
Well, this is part of why I'm so excited to spend some time down there, right? It's just now getting good. And so that whole thing of actually, watching as California really starts to, I mean, it's going to be a long time before it's all sorted out, but as they start getting it sorted out, it's going to be really fun.
It is. It's fun. I was going to say California leads the market trends. Generally, strains that are popular will leave California within 6 months of being popular. There, Denver will pick it up. Seattle will catch wind of it 6 months after Denver popularizes it. So they are trend leaders. I would expect, blunts and some other things to start coming online somehow, whether that's hemp or palm leaf or otherwise. Some other sales should go skyrocketing. So just like any other market, we see that flower contributed a lot. In this case, only 33% total towards the overall revenues of 90 million in sales.
As an old black market guy, it's really cool to have access to these totals and this data and these numbers. I mean, who'd have thought, 90 million here, 230 million over there, $1 billion there, blah, blah, blah. This whole thing where this weed industry and the math it creates, I got to say, I feel lucky, Chronic. I feel like we fell into something in the later stages of my career and such where I'm just like, damn, this is cool.
So many things changing, with the dynamics of the vape pen crisis, you're seeing live resin or live rosin skyrocketing in sales, 200-300% increase month over month because of the perceived notion that it's cleaner, healthier, better. And yet pre-rolls are still dominant, almost 10% by dollar share by category. With all of these states. And so the article says, quote, pre-roll sales generated 27.2 million in August, a 47% increase compared to last year. Year to date through August, sales of pre-roll joints increased 42%, reaching 173.2 million. Organogram up in Canada, they're rolling 40,000 pre-rolls a day, and yet they just got busted for selling moldy bud knowingly. It's really, really hard, actually impossible to prove intent, but yet I think they have the intent, like they knew what they were doing. So there's an open lawsuit. So stay tuned for that.
Over the years now, we've burned our share of pre-rolls. I think that's fair to say. And one of the issues that you come up with is that whole thing of how things are versus how they should be, right? How they should be pristine bud, perfect, somebody's taking really good care as they make your pre-roll, etc. How things are, not quite like that. Quite often it's the remnant weed, it's the weed that was on the floor, it's the weed that didn't pass, it's all of that stuff. And this is where, again, it just speaks to the consumer, right? The convenience, because we all know if you're in the industry, pre-rolls are generally lower grade cannabis and all of that. And at the same time, it saves you 5 minutes worth of roll time. So what the hell? And in the end, yeah, quality does matter.
California may change that trend, hopefully. They have definitely a huge demand for concentrates. This article says $991 million in sales. Concentrates dollar sales increased by over 39% compared to the same period last year, reaching $718.9 million. Ingestibles is $44 million. That's 16% of the market. And then vape sales were dominant before this whole thing happened, up 83%. So yeah, concentrates are the biggest, then flour, and then you're seeing some other things. Pre-rolls are pretty low for now, probably because, like you said, the quality is low and the price is high.
Not a good combo.
No, and in Oregon, you're looking at excessive amounts of oversupply, 6.5 years. So this article says that Oregon dispensary sales reached 78.9 million in August, an 8% increase from July. Sales increased 26% overall. But it's pretty flat. I mean, Oregon, they've got some interesting products, grab and go coffee, whatever. Flower sales, 33 million in August, not bad. That's 42% overall. The next biggest category is concentrates at 30%, and then ingestibles at 15, pre-rolls at almost 8%.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in Oregon. What I see on the ground is a very active and thriving cannabis market. So that whole concept of that oversupply and such, I don't know if I buy it. I mean, I buy there's an oversupply. I just think that the market is moving beyond it down there. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I do think it's fair to say, if you just do the straight up math, Oregon's half the size of Washington, and then Washington's like a fifth the size of California, right? So again, as you measure these markets, it's why California wags the dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've also heard rumors that Oregon has, taken some of the premier colas, grade A buds, and put that off to the black market. I've heard that from a few different sources, and so what's left is not high quality, and that's why it's not moving. So they're still having some issues with some black market product. As well as Arizona. I've seen Arizona licenses go for $25 million. I've seen black market product get sent to there directly. It's still a medical state. And so this article says that the dispensaries were 663.2 million in August, a 4% increase in July. And then year to date, they reached 457 million, still fairly flat. Flower sales reached 28.6 million. It was a 45% market share, followed by concentrates at 38, ingestibles at 10, and pre-rolls are at 3% in Arizona. That's terrible.
Hey, I want to do a public service announcement. Can I?
Sure.
All right. So, hey, if you're thinking about getting funded, if you ever want to be publicly traded, if you're like a cool company with big vision, don't divert, all right? Don't divert weed into the black market. If you're a big company with great vision, do us a favor and keep it legal. And that's from the Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast.
Yeah, to personalize that PSA, I was helping I was helping Agrima Botanical up in Canada. They were the first ones to lose their license because of diversion. We were going to automate the pre-roll system, and instead they got a little bit quick to selling flour and some other stuff, diversion. And so they got shut down, lost their license. So definitely do not do that. Follow Colorado. They're one of the top 5 states that we're following here on this report. Sales reached $175 million in August, and they just surpassed 1.2 billion year to date. So congratulations on that. That's pretty crazy. Flower continues to dominate at almost 42%, 33 for concentrates, 15 for ingestibles, and only 6% for pre-rolls.
Really?
It's a true story.
Oh, just state to state, the differences, the variance. Again, it does come back to the fact is, in your state, you might have an awesome tincture that in my state I might not have. Okay. And again, in the end, these things actually drive some of these numbers. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pre-rolls were 66.6 million. I don't know if that's an ominous sign. Might be a bad sign for Colorado. Nevada's interesting though, because they have limited licenses, right? And so it's kind of almost a monopoly. Prices haven't quite come down. Anytime there's an onboarding or new emerging market, prices tend to go from 20, 25, maybe even $30 a gram, but eventually they settle back down to reality. Not for Nevada, because Nevada has limited licensing. So they've had 459.8 million year to date in sales. Probably not as much as I would expect for Nevada, but tourism is probably dropping off a little bit right now. Flower sales, again, dominate 26 million, followed by concentrates, 27% of the market share. And then looks like pre-rolls and edibles are tied in Nevada for 13% market share. I like that.
Oh, that convenience factor, right? You're there, you're on the strip, you walk in, grab your pre-roll, walk out, burn it, go have your fun. Yeah, again, almost like a microclimate, right? It's got its own way and its own set of rules. And then on top of that, your weed, if you're used to buying, weed in a regulated market, you go down into Las Vegas and it's kind of stunning. It is, it's a, $60 eighth or a $40 eighth. And you're just like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're doing 8 million a month in pre-rolls alone in Nevada. That's not a bad business for just one segment.
What would you do with 8 million a month, Chronic? What would you do?
I'd probably diversify and make some hemp joints for the international market. A lot of automation opportunities to roll pre-rolls at 33 a minute that fill it, twist the tops. There's other conveyor belts with multifunctional checkweigh systems that'll run 3 lines at a time. And then you can run 2,000 an hour for cylindrical joints, or if you prefer the pre-rolls, there's cone machines and blunt machines. I think blunts in California is going to be a huge opportunity. California, again, huge culture. They like their blunts, whether it's hemp, mint, natural unbleached white paper, palm, marijuana leaf, whatever it is, the blunt is going to be big, infused or otherwise. The Canagar is going to reign supreme. Check out the Talking Hedge for some automation opportunities. With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.